I feel like I am in. I'm time traveling with Bob Bailie this morning. Many of you read his little pieces, his pictures, and posts. And of course, Bob Bailie does many things, but he is a historian, and he is also a great supporter of the Maine Ski and Snowboard Museum. And we are looking at, it looks like I'm at the ski shop in where would I be,
1950s.
1950s right here. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, there's some great stuff here. I want to welcome you to the program.
Oh, thank you, Greg.
Thank you so much. And you brought some other decorations with us. And I don't know where to begin. Usually boot fitting is where you start.
Yeah, here's one. This is Bass,
yeah.
made in Wilton, Maine. And it's pretty high tech.
How about the lace in the back?
Forward lean. Tighten that up, you get more forward lean. And that was pretty groundbreaking back then. That's beautiful. And it's an inner boot, too.
Yeah.
Double boot. And then...
Looks like a good boot, though.
They made good stuff.
Yeah.
And then here's one of the later Bass boots.
Now look at that. Look at the flap. That makes it look so
Look at that. It has like a gator on it. Oh. And it has a metal hinge.
Yeah.
And the and it opens up sideways,
yeah.
Solid fiberglass, small little packets for boot fitting. And the boot's, of course, not made anymore, but the patents still exist on a lot of other boots.
Interesting.
They invented forward lean adjustment, the mechanical hinge, and a lot of other things.
You know, everything seems to come back. You're not anticipating that.
This one, probably not.
How about this one here? It's a little stiff.
Okay, this one is the direction ski boots went to.
Yeah.
Plastic.
Yeah.
And then this one has what they call lang flow, which is basically putty.
Yeah.
And the bladder, it was all up in there. You had to get your hands in, pull it all the way up to the top, slide your foot in quickly, and it would kind of ooze around your ankles. The drawback is it will eventually harden up into cement.
Right.
So if you put your hand in there, it's painful.
it's like cement.
And Langs were not known for their comfort.
Yeah.
But they were waterproof and pretty cool looking.
Yeah, you know, Lang skiers usually didn't they didn't smile for some reason.
Yeah, they couldn't.
Yeah, I guess not. But you would in this.
Here's one more quick one here.
Oh yeah, I got the.
This is my favorite. It's the Molitor, which turned into Reichley Molitor, which turned into full tilt.
So high tech.
And it's a cable system to get rid of pressure points. Great idea. It's coming back next year.
Really?
On most, I think it was 4 or 5 boot companies are going to go with a cable system, and it's going to have a Bola crank on it. But basically, this idea is coming back.
It's kind of snowboards kind of do that too. I mean,
yep.
Yeah. Snowboard boots.
But the other idea that's coming back is the rear entry boot, which is what this is.
It's going to come back.
It's coming back. It's already back. Nordica makes one. Skiers are getting older, getting lazier. It's harder to get into boots as you get older. So this just opens up in the back, sort of. Boots are old.
Yeah.
And this was not the best example because even though the rear entry is still hard to get into.
Yeah.
And the drawback with this boot, you got your foot in, to adjust it. You flipped it up, you took a screwdriver, you adjusted these four screws, and the boot gets narrower.
How did you do that?
That was the problem. You couldn't do it. You had to have a friend with a screwdriver that went skiing with you.
Yeah.
So that idea did not stick around.
What are you doing? I'm staring in his boot.
And then this was probably one of my favorites.
You can't go wrong with lime green. Come on.
This is Scott Boots, and they did something that I kind of wish they did now. You could buy the same boot in like any color you wanted.
Really?
And you could buy the top cuff and the bottom cuff in 2 different colors. So it was a big seller.
Yeah.
It was half the weight of a normal boot. And this one was a little easier to get into. But it pinched your fingers.
I bet they'd love that over at the Downhill Supply Company. I love the boots. They fit great. Have you got them in pink? Oh, no.
Well, that was... I was at a ski shop, and it was a nightmare.
I would buy them, but
And the other nightmare was plastics were pretty primitive back in, this is in the 70s, 80s, early 70s, actually, and they exploded when they got cold, which is kind of a problem for a ski boot.
It can be, yeah.
So that's the boots from that era. And then
we can't move on before we cover this because this is
the museum's got a lot of
Yeah.
unusual stuff. And the cool thing about us is we're a little bit different than a normal museum. You can just go in and you can grab stuff and you can play with it. You can
and
pick
it's
up,
okay.
It's okay. We encourage it. You can take this binding, you take that out, you pop the spring out,
I've never been yelled at there.
and no one will yell at you. And as long as you remember how to put it back together, you're okay.
Right. And
This this is a roller ski.
Yeah.
This was a short-lived fad in the 1970s. There was a lot of drugs in the
Why do you
1970s.
think? Why do you think it was a short-lived fad?
Well, one gopher hole in your history.
Yeah.
They don't stop.
Yeah.
You have to turn to stop. We tried these with local legend Tom Butler and his son Sully, and they loved him. It was his lifelong dream.
We got to get our hands on that footage.
Yeah, I have it.
We need that.
Those guys are pretty amazing. He always
It's hard to
wanted
look
try
graceful
this.
on that, but
Yeah.
we'd love to see it.
They did pretty good on him.
Yeah.
They loved him. Anyway, they're really noisy,
Yeah.
and you have to lubricate them with salad dressing.
Well, they-
so
Have more mayonnaise. Can I get some more packets, please? And you look at that. We've got some hikers here that are going to go for it.
Oh, there we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
yeah,
Love that.
it works even better if you've got the '70s hot pants that these guys are wearing.
Time traveling, right?
Yep.
So let's time travel with some skis. This one here looks amazing. It looks like a predecessor to the Claw.
Well, this is actually a floating. If you can zoom in on this, I don't know. Can you guys do that?
Which camera? Jake. Hey, Jake, wake up.
This is a floating. The binding goes here and it floats.
Yeah.
So that the binding doesn't create a dead spot under the ski. And this concept was brought back in 1990s by Atomic and Salmon, and they have this exact same
And
thing.
the Claw.
And the Claw.
Yeah.
So it's a floating mounting plate, and this ski was Ernie McCullough, who was a ski school director at Mount Tremblant, which is 3 hours from here.
And it's got the screw-on edges.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Which everything had back then.
Yep, edges were optional.
Yeah. Edges not here.
Yeah.
Not here,
You
Bob.
wouldn't want to be an Eastern skier without edges, but there were some. Here's a ski made in Paris, Maine.
There it is.
Did not come with edges. Edges you bought extra. There's a box of edges. My uncle made edges and sold them to ski shops, and that was a big business. You would take a route a spot, put the edges on. But if you're feeling adventurous, you just skied them without the edges and watch what happens on narrow gauge.
Not everyone was edgy.
Yeah, so that's a beautiful ski.
I'm sure you could notice it in their technique.
Yep. And then there's another thing that's different a little bit.
Is that like a spy secret Russian pole for shooting? birds, or-
Well, the Russians are still using them, but
Yeah.
this is a single ski pole. They used to just use one.
Yeah.
And you kind of used it like a canoe paddle, and you could drag it between your legs to stop.
Yeah.
And this one is made. I don't know if you have a close-up
Yeah,
camera
we
over
can
there.
see that.
Norway, Maine, right on the bottom.
Cast in Norway.
Maine is a big producer of a lot of
Yeah.
this stuff.
And that was a popular back then monopole.
Yep, that was
way back
that
in
was
the
the
beginning,
technique.
right? Yeah.
And then right next to you is my favorite. That's a pair of Rosinals, and the ad for it was introducing the new Rosinal ski company. And this is probably the prettiest ski we have in our
It's a
collection.
beauty.
It's hickory, but it's laminated. It's a lot of laminations in it. Pretty modern construction. Came with edges,
Made with hickory.
And-
And P-Tex.
and it's not P-Tex.
No.
It's a weird coating. P-Tex came about 15 years later. But it's called ebonite, which is what they made bowling balls out of. It's a coating of that. And it has a pair of marker rotomats. If you're old enough,
Oh, yeah.
we all wanted these
we
until we
all
released
wanted
out of them. Then we didn't like them anymore because the spring would pop, and you'd have to kind of
Get filled with snow.
you have to put your bindings back together, which is kind of a status.
I still wanted them.
It's a status like you have to have fix your Ferrari kind of status.
But you proudly got up off the ground.
Yep, but they're beautiful.
Got markers.
And then we even have a pair of markers, brand new, still in the box.
I mean, they were so legendary.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. It's just cast aluminum, beautiful stuff.
Yeah. So you have time travel. If anyone wants to see your post of time travel, how do they find you?
Well, you just go to we're on Facebook and we're on Instagram, and also the posts are also on the website. And every week I kind of find some equipment and talk about it, and some mysterious weird equipment. The weirdest one is the next one I'm going to pick up here.
I love it. You'd never
This was in the
guess.
shop, and I no clue. Didn't even want to know what this thing did.
Has something to do with hanging beef? Or?
Close, really close, actually. You would put this around your waist. You'd put this on the rope. You'd squish it, and then you hang on to it,
Right.
and it would pull you up the hill.
I never would have got that.
And then you have to quickly remember how you get out of it, or you're part of the rope tow forever.
Oh, right.
But it was some sort of, we don't use
Stop
these,
hitting your head in the tractor, Butch.
we don't use these too much anymore. But it was like a modern.
Again, a retro item that more than likely won't come back.
No, that one's not coming back.
That one's not coming back.
That's
Some great items, and you can visit the museum. Of course, the Ski and Snowboard Museum is open, and they work hard to bring you lots of interactive things down there, and it's okay to touch, right?
Oh yeah, play with the stuff. It's fun.
And check out also the posts that are always awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I know
you.
you're off to ski now.
Yep, gonna go skiing.